So I'm traveling this week with my family. We're here in northern Montana. We're staying at this Airbnb here on Flathead Lake, and it's absolutely gorgeous. It's just outside of Glacier National Park, and everywhere you look is just picture perfect. And I found that when you're in environments like this, where you're away from the day-to-day of what you typically do, and you're kind of immersed in nature, it's just a perfect opportunity to think about where you're at, to think about what you've accomplished, to be grateful for what you've accomplished, and also to think about where you want to get to. And so every morning I've been waking up and going on these long runs before my family gets up, and I've been listening to inspiring people on YouTube videos or podcasts or audiobooks, and just been thinking about, we're kind of in our business, we're at this place where we've accomplished a lot of the goals we set out for. And so we're in the process of setting the next SMART goals. And I think there's a potential to get this wrong. And a lot of people go with what seems intuitive when it comes to their goal setting and what they start to pursue, and then they find themselves in the wrong place or in a place that they never expected to be in many years down the road because they didn't take the time up front to determine what specifically they want out of life, not just like monetarily, but what they want their life to actually look like. And so I've had a few realizations while we've been here that I think are going to be really helpful for our business and our life. And so instead of going for a run this morning, I decided to film a video and share some of these with you because I think they could help you as well. So the first thing that's become really clear to me over the last almost 2 decades of investing is that quality of deals matters so much more than quantity of deals. I ask people all the time what their goals are with real estate investing, and especially people who are newer will tell me, my goal is to own 50 doors of rental properties or 100 doors of rental properties. And then you ask them why, and they can't really articulate why. They just kind of feel like, well, that would be success, or that would mean that I'm making a ton of money. And really, it's just a vanity metric, because you could be in a much worse position financially owning 100 doors of the wrong types of properties. I've heard Warren Buffett talk in the past about how investing is actually easier than playing baseball, because in baseball, you only get so many pitches and you get 3 strikes and you're out. So you have to swing at certain pitches. But with investing, there's no limit to the number of investments you can pass on. So he said his investing strategy borderlines lethargic because he said he passes on 99.9% of opportunities that come across his plate, and then he just takes the grand slam opportunities, and that's what's made him so successful over the years. So when I was first getting out of the Army and I was starting my flipping company, this was back in 2011, I partnered with a couple partners, and our goal was growth. We thought growth was synonymous with success. And I think a lot of people think that. And so we wanted to be in all 50 states. We wanted to be doing a ton of volume. And we thought if we could just do a lot more, we would be successful. And meanwhile, we had no assets that were paying us or creating value for the business, because that's where the value of the business comes from, is the assets. We just had this machine that kept us in this constant hustle mode that the quicker we turned stuff over, the more money we would make. And I can tell you that did not lead to a lifestyle that was a healthy lifestyle or a happy lifestyle. So in 2017, I transitioned to short-term rentals, to this strategy of high cash flowing short-term rentals. And we started with just one. The goal that my wife and I had was just to see, does this strategy work? And so we realized after the first one that we were making over $1,000 a month of net cash flow after all our expenses on a really low-cost property. So then we said, okay, if we can get to 8 of these, that should be enough to replace my full-time income, and I could leave my full-time job and we could do this full-time. And so that was the goal then. So we got to 8 of them, and we realized some things, how to make the deals actually better than that first one that we were doing, and how to improve the quality and the cash flow on each deal. So we got to 8. It was about 3.5 years ago, and I left my full-time job, and we've been able to grow from there. And so the next goal then was to get to 30. And again, we continued to realize things that would improve these deals over time. And so now we're at this place where we just added 30 short-term rental listings that we own. We're about to bring on 3 more. And as I've been here and kind of thinking through what the next goal is, this has just become more and more clear to me, because there's a clear path for me to get to 100 short-term rentals. And that's a doable goal. It seems like the next logical goal. You're at 30, why not get to 100? And a lot of people would have that as their next goal. But to me, it's like, would you rather own more just for the sake of owning more? Or would you rather own the amount that's going to get you to your ideal lifestyle? So I think that's the question you should really ask yourself. Wherever you are in your investing journey, what's the path from here, from this place that's going to get me to my ideal lifestyle? Not what everyone else tells me that I should be doing or what seems intuitively like the best goal, but what is actually going to get me to that clear picture of my ideal day-to-day. So for me personally, I don't have plans to get to 100 short-term rentals as quickly as possible, like a lot of people probably would set as the next goal. My goal from here is actually each property that I do from here should be better than the one before it. So it should be higher cash flowing. It should be a higher quality property. And the lift to add a short-term rental to our portfolio is so much lower now than it was with short-term rental number one, because we've learned so many things over the years. And so we can do it in a controlled way that doesn't impact our lifestyle. We can add a property or two properties at a time in a controlled way, but add much better properties. Because I don't think the goal to life really is to stay the same, just do more of what you've already done, but to push yourself and increase your abilities and increase the quality of the outcome of what it is that you're doing so you can consistently get better. The second thing that's become really clear to me over time, and it kind of ties in with the first one, but it's the first goal that you think that you should pursue is often not the one that's going to get you to your ideal life and the ideal outcome, the one that seems the most intuitive. I think humans are really bad predictors of what's going to make them happy. And so initially you're looking around at your peers, at counterparts, at other people doing this, and you see the things that they have or the things that they're doing, and you set your goals based on that. The first thing that comes to mind, or the first thing that seems the most intuitive to do to have the results that seems like other people have that you think would make you happy, is actually not the thing that you should pursue. So what I recommend doing is, again, going back to getting super clear on what you personally would call your perfect days. You know, you can describe your perfect day. I like to say perfect days because every day is not going to be the same. So, you know, if you were living your perfect life, what would that look like over a span of several days, weeks, maybe months? But what would that lifestyle look like? And if you can get super clear on that, then go to what pursuit and what goal is going to get you to that outcome the quickest, and don't settle on the first thing that comes to mind. Really think deep about it and come up with lots of different options. I think you'll come up with something totally different than what you would have pursued if you had just gone with the first option that felt the most intuitive. I'm a huge fan of the book Essentialism. So if you're thinking through this process, I'd recommend reading that book Essentialism. And in the book, he talks about how essentialists, they're focused on less but better. So they do a lot less, but they do it better. And actually, they consider a lot more options up front, but they only pursue a few, as opposed to the non-essentialist who goes out and just starts throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks. You know, they're pursuing a lot of things unintentionally, as opposed to the essentialist who considers a lot of different options, and then they pursue one or two that make the absolute most sense. So the sun came out and really messed up my picture, so I had to move. But the third thing that's become really clear to me as, you know, I've been out here in nature and just over the years of getting more experience and more maturity investing, is that at some point you have to incorporate others in your vision and how you're going to positively impact others if you want to get to the next stage. So initially, for most people, I think the goal is to just make a little bit of money, to get into investing, to make a little extra money, to be able to pay their bills, to be able to buy groceries, to be able to do some things that they couldn't do before. And I think that goal is great. I think that's a perfect first goal. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's very self-focused, but you have to be able to take care of yourself first before you can take care of others. But I think that type of goal will only get you so far, and it will hold you back from pushing yourself to be better because you're not incorporating others into your vision. When we first started our flipping business, it was tough in the beginning. Like, we weren't making much money for the first several years, and it was super lean. We were bringing in income, but we had so much overhead and so many expenses that all went right out the door, and there wasn't much left over. And I remember thinking at that time, man, if I could just get to consistently $7,000 a month, like, I'd be set. You know, because that's enough to live on the rest of my life. And that was a great first goal. And so eventually we started buying assets and we got to that place. And then, you know, last month, 2 months ago in July, our peak month with our short-term rentals, we made over $150,000 in 1 month of gross income. Now, we have expenses out of that too, but It's way more than I could have ever imagined initially when I was trying to get to a place of bringing in $7,000 consistently. But now what gets me out of bed and gets me super excited is how I can impact other people, how I can build something for my family in the future, how I can help other people today to do what we've done to create financial freedom. And so if it was just about me, I can guarantee you I wouldn't be recording a video like this. It pushes you out of your comfort zone. I've had some realizations over the years that have helped us. So how can I pass that to other people? How can I impact the most people in the most positive way possible? And so that gets you going to that next level then. And whatever level you're trying to push to, it's going to push you out of your comfort zone. But if it's just about you, you'll get to a place where you're like, okay, I'm good. Financially, I'm good. I don't need to push myself anymore. But then you have to think, okay, did God put us on this earth so that we can just get to a point where we don't have to do anything anymore? Is that what the whole point of working every day is, to get to a point where you can just sit around then? I think once you've provided for yourself and for your family, then how do you have the biggest positive impact on the world? And if you think through setting your vision and setting your goals through that lens, then I think the vision gets much, much bigger. And what you're able to accomplish becomes bigger than you ever thought possible. So again, this video was very unscripted, just kind of sharing my thoughts and some realizations that I've had that I feel like could be helpful to others. And if this has resonated with you and you want to learn more about how we do short-term rentals, we have a very specific niche within short-term rentals. It's kind of lower cost, higher cash flowing, high performing short-term rentals. You can go to airbnbwithkirby.com. It's the link that just popped up down below, and it takes you to a masterclass that I just recently recorded that's designed for beginners and walks you through our entire process of how we find properties, how we buy them, how we finance them, how we set up our systems. So you can check that out and let me know in the comments if you have any takeaways from this video. Thanks for joining me for the video. God bless, and I'll see you in the next video.